First off, Jonathan, thanks for being here.
Michael, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. This is your first DPAA event.
What
are your thoughts?
Besides Barry being great, I must admit, it's really great to see Barry. And I appreciate the thought leadership from both the digital, traditional and non-traditional landscape here. So it's really nice to see both are being represented. And I know that someone spoke earlier about there used to be a discussion and now it's an execution, which also is great to see.
So you're listening.
That's
impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if everyone else can say what we want up here. So tell us a little bit about your position at Turner. Tell us a little bit about Turner in general. I know Warner Media is now part of the name. AT&T owns that. Tell us a little bit about that and your time in your career so far.
Sure. So I was agency side before, agency, as most of us are. And now I'm in a really unique spot, which is really nice. As we all know, AT&T acquired Time Warner, changed the name to Warner Media. So we really don't reference Turner anymore. So this is one of the last times, RIP, love you, Ted. So Warner Media is now out there, and it's really great where we sit. So Legacy Turner Brands, my position now is that we have an in-house planning agency. So I know there was also discussion about bringing some of the stuff in-house. I also sit at an in-house agency, and then we leverage Hearts and Science to buy on our behalf.
Gotcha. Across all U.S. media.
Correct. So Warner Media and AT&T is under one house, under Hearts and Science, which is great.
Gotcha. Very nice. So being in a digital out-of-home conference, tell us a little bit about how you've thought about digital out-of-home over the years and the kind of Warner Media Turner perspective of this historically from an out-of-home perspective.
Sure. I know we joked earlier. Yeah. And it was actually really funny because we at Turner did a attribution study. Yep. I know we're going to talk about, and all of a sudden now it's like I'm in the out-of-home circuit, which is really great because out-of-home has been around clearly forever, and we've always thought of it kind of in the full media mix without truly knowing what drives TuneIn. It does make it hard for us. However, with the digital out-of-home space, it was really easy for a lot of us to make the transition and consider the inventory.
Yep.
We know it's not remnant. Because we experienced this, as you know quite well from the invite side, years ago whenever we first learned how programmatic was in the digital space.
Sure, that makes sense. And what was the way that you guys have historically bought out of home? Is it a large piece of the investment? Do you think of it tactical? Do you think of it last minute? How do you think about out of home?
Yeah, truly, to be honest, it was always from a vanity play. Like you wanted the biggest board, or you wanted the biggest wallscape for your newest show on TNT, and that's what you do.
Yep.
However, those are hard to come by, and then also some of the shows that we have, let's say sports, for example. Yep. I'm not going to tell you, hey, in March Madness is coming, because you're going to say no shit. Yeah. So we have to be a little more tailored with it, and that's truly the benefit of the digital aspect, because we can say tomorrow and tonight, because that's all that you really care about.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we've been fortunate enough to run a few campaigns with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
We ran things with PGA. We've run things on March Madness. Can you give us a little high-level walkthrough of what those were like from your perspective of how we kind of got those set up and what the kind of goals of those campaigns were?
Sure, I'll tell you, and I know that we're probably going to get into this in a second as well, but PGA was truly our gateway drug into programmatic out-of-home. As you can imagine, whenever we got briefed for PGA, we work directly with marketing teams. So marketing came to us and said, we have kind of a larger conversation going with TopGolf. Yeah. However, it's too late to the game. What can we do? And shout out to the local rep in Atlanta, Brett, to be honest, like a week prior to the meeting said, we have TopGolf. And that was kind of our thing to say, hey, we can actually do this as well. So I think that was kind of our gateway drug into it. And to be honest, it was just kind of a waterfall effect from there, because then it made, to be honest, the client and us more comfortable with seeing Vistar on flowcharts and digital out of home, because we did have the experience around with it. And it was still vanity, but still digital, which was really nice to see as it relates to TopGolf specifically.
It's really interesting that you mentioned TopGolf too. I mean, I think that's exciting for a lot of the media owners in the room. TopGolf is a fairly new media owner compared to some of the other media owners that have been around for 10, 20, 30, 100 years. And to hear that was the start of your kind of beginning of your addiction to programmatic out of home is pretty not only exciting but motivating, I think, for a lot of the media owners in this room about growing their footprints.
Yeah, and then even going back to the original case of TuneIn around vanity, you were able to still get that vanity play at a local level with tailored creative that we wanted to a correct audience. I mean, just checks across the board, right?
Yeah,
It was great.
Yeah. So started the drug with
my gosh.
PGA,
Yeah.
and then let's talk about March Madness.
March Madness. It is my favorite campaign every year. We sit in a room and spend a lot of money and watch a lot of basketball. It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so great. So nonetheless, March Madness comes. We wanted to make sure that it was as live as possible for the consumer. So we had a large investment as it relates to a lot of out-of-home channels, all digitally focused to bring in real time the scores, the competition, the matchups, everything to to all the consumers, and that's really what the whole emphasis around the campaign was, bringing it live. And it didn't have to be digital. I mean, digital as in your hand.
Yeah.
We really could do it on the road. You could do it in the gym. You could do it in the bar. And we saw so much success from it.
That's awesome. So speaking of the word success, you've thrown in the word TuneIn a few times.
Oh, yes.
Most people in this room have heard me say on stage, probably way too much, measurement is super important for us to grow the pie of out-of-home advertising and I'll make more money. So you brought it up as a big focus for you. Tell us a little bit about, not only for this campaign, but in general, how important measurement is, and is TuneIn the holy grail for you guys?
Yes, TuneIn is the holy grail, and then, props to Nielsen for still being the currency. However, it makes it tough because not everyone has cable, right? I've never had cable, and I'm never going to get cable, and I still work somewhere, and we still talk about all the time about watching television. So it makes it hard, right?
Yeah.
And then also in this fragmented multi-touch attribution space, what drives TuneIn? And do you drive TuneIn day of? We've heard some advertisers talk about, the commercial rating of C30. Is it Live plus 7, Live plus 10? What is it these days? It's everything. So TuneIn is the main KPI, and it is very hard to measure. However, we did partner together, and there was measurement around the success about that.
And we worked with Cubic.
We worked with Cubic.
A data partner of ours and a partner of you guys. And is that getting looped into, I guess, other media measurement? So are we getting compared as an out-of-home, as a channel, people in this room, are we getting compared apples to apples now with mobile, with TV? Are we on that same chart now?
We are getting there. We are getting there. There's still the space is still fragmented. However, I do have to say, I know we talked about this earlier on my passion around measurement.
Yeah.
If you are doing a siloed study, it is garbage. It's absolute garbage because we really, truly don't know. If you came and said to us, oh my gosh, we had lifts of 100%, look how great this is, I would say congrats, but we're missing 90% of the media. So that means that 90% of what you're telling me is garbage.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't in this case. We did measure all out of home, and just so we're on the same page, we measured several media partners, including the link boards, which was really great to see. So we pulled in everything. So all out of home was measured apples to apples for this success with Cubic, and or for this campaign to show success. So out of home was on the same playing field, even though media on different levels is still fragmented.
Yeah. And that's actually pretty cool to hear because something that we talk about with our media partners quite a bit is a lot of the conversation spaces, are things just all going to shift into programmatic? And this is a great example of Jonathan having bought directly with multiple media owners for multitude of reasons and buying programmatically via Vistar, but looking at the success of the campaign through a single lens and a single measurement direction, which is something that we're seeing more and more with our clients, and Jonathan being one of our leading clients on this effort. Another thing I'll shout out is, the work with Cubic is pretty first to market.
It was first to market, and it was really great to see. And one of the reasons that we chose to work with Cubic is based on their TuneIn and partnerships as it relates to TuneIn business, which was great to see. And I do have to say that, as always, first to market, let's say there were bumps in the road, and I would encourage you all as well, if you're on the media buy side, there were bumps in the road, it did not stop us, and we also we put you all through hell, we put Cubic through hell, and we put other partners through hell, and we'll continue to do it to make the business successful.
We're up for it.
Yeah, right. I know, right? Work for that money that you're gonna get from us.
There we go. That's the job. That's the job. That's good. I think for a lot of people in this room here, there's a lot of vendors here, especially on the sales side. So understanding that you guys are willing to lean into this and put the work in, as long as we're willing to do that, I think that's very motivating for everyone here to hear.
Yeah, it was great.
So another item that I kind of discount too often, I think, in out-of-home, I focus a lot on the data measurement and programmatic side of things. But tell us a little about the campaign itself for March Madness was all about live events, dynamic creative, dynamic messaging. Show us some of that complexity, because that's actually one of the ways where digital out-of-home is showing a lot of its strengths above just traditional out-of-home.
Sure. So we often ride coattails, and just so we're on the same page, even seeing all the charts and seeing everything that we've been talking about, we often talk about a core and a casual fan. A core fan will tune in. We know who he is specifically, and we know he will tune in. He downloads every year. He watches every year. So we really try to think about the incrementality to drive the overall campaign on like a 5-year growth. So overall, it was brought to you on all screens digitally, and we did have dynamic scoring. And then even to your point around digital out of home, let's say remnant, we were able to scale. So there was a large amount of dollars, and we only did tomorrow and tonight messaging. Because again, you don't care if the matchup is next Friday, you care about the matchup that's tonight. And that's what we really tried to drive home. And going back to what I originally said, we were writing the coattails because, as we know, everyone talks about March Madness. So what we are going to tell you is who's watching tonight, and we're also going to remind you, no shade, but it's not on CBS tonight, that the championship will be on TBS and TNT. So that's what our message is, to say, everyone else is telling you about it, but did you know that your team is tonight, and it is the first round? Make sure you tune in, and you can watch everywhere. And that was another component too. So even though we were driving tune-ins, there was still a part of the study that also drives in-app consumption. So we also married those device IDs back to the device IDs that downloaded to see, okay, so we know you tuned in and you drove by this billboard. Did you also interact with our app? So there were a lot of new things that came to market there. That was really, really interesting.
Interesting. Actually, I don't even know the answer to this. What is the breakdown of tuning in general for consumers for you guys, for app versus linear versus?
TV is still king. Yeah. Let's say that. And then also, for sporting events, like if there's a new show on TNT for Claws, great show, right? You should check it out, tune it in, it's in the app. It's really amazing, but you're not gonna watch it live. You really care about the score tonight, and that is what is so amazing. So TV is still king as it relates to live sports and live news.
Gotcha. I've heard that quite a bit.
Facts first.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, it's very exciting for us to tackle the entertainment vertical in this way, proving tune in and out of home. It's a big win for everyone in this room. What are we missing? Like I said, we've got a lot of sellers in this room. We want to know what else we can do to keep you and your brands happy. What are we missing as an industry? What are the hurdles that we still need to overcome to really grow the pie with you guys?
I would say the fragmented marketplace is getting there. And I think...
Sorry, and when you say fragmented marketplace, to be clear,
as it relates to multi-touch attribution.
Multi-touch. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be really great, because even now, we know we work heavily with Xandr now with AT&T, and it's a great product and we love it. However, we cannot say, did you drive by a billboard 2 times this morning and then tune in? Or where does it... It's very last touch. It's still fragmented. I think that I would love to see... great digital out of home at scale. So we love the wallscape. Make a big TV there, right? So if we could get that at scale, that would also be truly amazing. And I would say another part that is really great, especially to sellers in the room, we love when you fill up our minds, not our calendars. So that's something to really consider, because even we talked about Brett. Brett was a shoe-in with just one email to say, hey, TopGolf is on. Let's get drinks soon. And that was a great way to transition into PGA. Yep. So as you continue to sell to us, know that it doesn't require a meeting. Just shooting us over little tidbits here and there really might be beneficial for at any time that we have to have a campaign coming up.
So you guys read the email.
We read the email. I don't always, to be honest, like 70% of the time I don't really respond, but I will read it and then say, oh shit, they have TopGolf there,
This is the facts then, I like it. Perfect, well, thank you so much for the time and doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.